Hey everybody, it is, I have no idea what day of the week. I think it's Thursday. Today is Thursday. We are moving today, actually. We're just beginning our move. Today we're going to take our stuff for our kitchen over. It's going to be really exciting. And it's fun because I have Jennifer Yeatts on today, and she's part of helping us get all of this done. So we'll talk to her. But before we start, I want to talk about Burgers and Bands. I want to remind you that we're not doing our event in May. And because we're not going to raise what we expected to be between $80,000 and $100,000. So if you can make a donation at burgersandbands.org, we would really, really appreciate it. You can earmark it. You can call us and ask us find out what your school needs. Your school may need something. They may have made a request, but we have a lot of requests out there. We have about $50,000 of requests out there waiting right now for schools. And I think they're going to need it more than ever when kids come back, because this is going to be a hard transition for children. So if you can help us by making a donation at burgersandbands.org, we'd really appreciate it. And then I'm going to do my shameful self-promotion plug. I really, really need some subscribers over at YouTube. So YouTube/Brendan Annie, and just hit subscribe. It would really be helpful to me. If you actually have a bunch of different YouTube channels, please subscribe with all of them. I could use all your help. Have your kids subscribe. It's always clean. So just subscribe. I need ya. All right. Let me introduce you to our guest today. We have Jennifer Yeatts. Hi.
Hi. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So tell us, you're with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Penfed Realty. And one time you told us in our group, why such a long name?
Yeah, it's a mouthful, but I can't cut anything out. Berkshire Hathaway, everyone knows, is Warren Buffett's holding company. So that's our parent company. Home Services is a full service real estate agency from title to lending services. And Penfed Realty is our franchise name. So Pentagon Federal Credit Union owns our particular office of Berkshire Hathaway. So many great names, so many great parts of it. I can't leave anything out. So It is a mouthful, and it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, exactly. You're really good at it, though. You're really good at getting it out there. So yeah. All right. So I usually give a tip of the day, and I said I'm so busy I don't have a tip of the day. So what is yours?
Mine is get outside before it rains. This time of year, the weather's great. The temperature is fine. So get outside, take a little walk before the rains come today.
Yeah, and it's good for your brain.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, it's really good for your brain. I've been enjoying walking with my son, my 13-year-old, because he's, it's just fun. He talks more when you walk.
Mm-hmm. You know, if I can get mine outside, that is the case too. But I have to say, I haven't seen them yet today.
That's okay. Well, up in the shower, so who knows when he'll come down. So, all right. Well, let's dive into real estate and what has changed. And actually, this is really interesting because we sold my house in February, right? And now we've settled on our new house. We settled on Monday, and we're moving in. So a lot has changed. But what has changed?
Everything has changed. Real estate is still considered an essential service. So we are up and running in all sense and purposes. However, as you can imagine, things look very different. We were on track, honestly, for one of the most robust spring markets we've had in years. So buyers were out, poised, and ready in January. Sellers are ready to go in January, as you know, because that's when your house was listed. Housing stats came through, and year over year, units were up 2.5% this year. Average price was up 9.3% in Maryland, not just in our area. So that's huge. The median price was up 8.9%. So all indications showed a very strong, robust market. And then coronavirus came. So in a lot of cases, we're just in a pause. So we've missed the spring market. We have missed what would be considered the busiest time of real estate. Now, some people were in the process and in the pipeline and still settled, but now we're seeing some slowdowns that really would not have happened if this were a typical year.
Right.
We lost a lot of our casual buyers, people who were just, maybe wanted to move, didn't have to move. And it's really been distilled down to the people that have to move for job transfers, for school moves, for relocation. So
right.
Taken away all the casual market and really distilled it down to the essential. We have to move now. How are we going to make this happen, even during this pandemic? So showings have been reduced to essential people only. Closings, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend your closing, because now title companies, they still have to have in-person closings for most loans. And it's really been reduced to the buyers and sellers, no extra personnel involved. So
Right.
it's really taken kind of the personality out of our business and distilled it down into the we absolutely have to move now market.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. One of the things that I think people are two things. I think people are afraid to list their homes because they're afraid that people will have to walk around them, right? Which is not something. So we'll talk about that. And then I think people are afraid to buy because they're like, I haven't seen it. Am I gonna, what's it gonna be like?
Right.
So, can you tell us how people are still looking at homes?
So now it's more important than ever that people have driven by the house to make sure it's where they want to live. In the past, we could say, all right, you like these homes, we'll go see them. We'll look at the neighborhood. Now people are absolutely driving past before they go in. They're walking in with masks, in some cases, gloves. Vacant homes are easy. A real estate agent can go in prior, open all the doors, open most of the cabinets so that you can have a truly touch-free experience. Occupied homes are different. Sellers, of course, are very nervous to have people come in and tour their homes. So we're doing a lot more virtual showings. We're trying to make sure that customers can really get a good sense of what the house is like before walking in, because something that doesn't show up in a photograph will show up in a video. So one of the funny things I've been doing, it's only funny because I've had to get up to speed pretty quickly, is doing an actual video walkthrough of the house. So you can do a video of the house, but this is me walking in the front door with my camera, looking at every wall, going into every closet, doing what an actual buyer would do. And after being with so many buyers, you get a sense of where they linger, where they want to see more. And so it's not beautiful, but it's basically a walkthrough of this is what your house will look like. And
Right.
if you look at that video, not get dizzy because I'm filming it, but also still like the house, then you're more likely to be a serious buyer and not have to spend as much time there. So, people are still out, but obviously people are nervous to have people in their homes during this time.
Yeah, we actually just found out this week that we got lucky. So we went on Sunday to do our walkthrough of the house, and we got really lucky because the owner was there, and she is just the sweetest person ever. But she said that morning she almost canceled the walkthrough. Not the walkthrough, the open house. She said the morning that we went to see the house, she almost canceled the open house.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got lucky because, like I've said before, we were on our way to put in an offer on another house.
Mm-hmm.
And I just talked Blaze into turning down this road and seeing this one house.
Great.
And so thank God she didn't, because this is the house I'm supposed to be in.
Yeah.
So we got lucky, but she could have canceled that. And then she said she's a doctor. She spent 2 hours after we left cleaning all the surfaces because she was so afraid of what might be in there. And this was at the very beginning of all of this. So
right. It's funny. My kid, when I go out and show houses now, I used to have some bottles of water and some snacks for people if they got hungry, if it was a long day. And now I've got the Lysol spray, the wipes, and so it's a different world, and I'm afraid it's our new reality for the foreseeable future, but you just have to plan for it. It will still happen. You just have to plan for it.
Well, and the trick is to find a good realtor who's going to take care of you, and to know where you stand, to know whether you're nervous about things, to know whether the homeowner's nervous about things. This is more than ever. This is when your personality comes through, right? Being able to really, I think it's going to be, maybe I'm wrong, I have a feeling moms are going to do better as realtors than men. I could be completely off base, but I think moms know all these things that dads maybe don't think about. So maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it is interesting because at the beginning, people were, they have their mask in the pocket, right? And they're just like, I don't know if I should be doing this or not. And now that's become more normalized. You have to wear a mask in a store. I think even my kids are saying it's not as bad because everyone's doing it. So when you get used to that baseline first, I think the sad part for me now is when I'm out with clients and everyone's wearing a mask, I can't see their smiles. I can't, you have to listen for a smile now, which is such a strange concept to me, but that's just where we are. So
yeah.
I think the longer we go through it, the more we get used to it. And it is business as normal with a strange kind of filter over everything, but we're all in this together. So it's not like I'm being more strict or no different than anyone else. We're all in this together.
Exactly. So I want to remind people who are watching, you can ask questions that'll pop up on my screen. I'll be able to see the question that you're asking. I can put it up on our screen so that Jennifer can see it. We can answer. So that's really fun. But ask questions. If you're thinking about listing your home, if you're thinking about buying a home and you're wondering what it's going to feel like, what it's going to be like, Jennifer's here. She's been doing it. So, take advantage of that. So tell me what you've noticed about the changes in listings and how that's working.
So as I mentioned before, people really have to get a sense, is this the right home for me, before they can get out to view it, because viewings are going to be more restricted. So we're focusing more on pre-qualified buyers, but for listings themselves, I think now the minimum standard has to be an interactive floor plan, where you can see not only the photos of the house, but you can see where that photo angle was taken, and you can actually zoom through the house from that spot. And so there's a great program with Matterport that will allow you to do that. You can plop yourself into the house, do a 360 turn to see what's around you in that space, and then go on from there. And I honestly think that silly video walkthrough as a buyer does help, because that Matterport can get a little bit, makes me a little dizzy sometimes, but the walkthrough will say, if I were coming to this house, how could I experience it? How am I going to see it? And photos are going to just be huge. You can't just have the exterior shot anymore. I think most people knew that coming into this, but you have to really showcase all the features of that listing so that someone can really truly view the whole thing. Not have what's barely off camera that I can't see. Why are they taking this angle? And I really want to see over here. You've got to show the whole thing. So that's going to really change things moving forward.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. I want to come back to something, but Lauren is the owner of Challenger Auto over in Pasadena. She wants to know whether they're allowed more time to back out of the contract because of COVID.
So there is a COVID addendum that's been added to our available documents as real estate agents. In fact, it was right on the edge of being able to use it, or wondering whether we should use it for your transaction, and when you sold.
Yes.
It does allow another layer of, it's primarily related to any delays that occur due to COVID. So all of this standard contract timelines remain in place. However, if there's something that's delayed because of COVID-19, both parties have the option then to terminate the contract if it goes beyond a certain point. So they are making some concessions to that, and it's important, because like if your loan can't get approved,
right,
you should be locked into that due to COVID-19. So yes, there is that new addendum that's in place. I think it makes some people nervous, because it does technically give people a longer time to decide. But buyers and sellers that are acting now, that can still, if affordability becomes an issue, that's a lending issue. That's going to go down the lending path. But if they're serious about it, they're going to go through with the transaction. But it does help us to maintain our timelines. Otherwise, if we left it alone, if things expired, either party could terminate. And most people, most times, don't want that.
Right.
So ways to keep the transaction moving forward.
We signed that for our, not on the sell, but on the buying end, and it was great. But I will tell you, the other thing is, it matters so much that people realize there's a person on the other end, and that we think about that person. So in our case, our seller, who we're buying from, she's trying to move to France. Her husband had gone out to see his sick mother in California. I own my own small business, so that made the lender nervous, and we had to jump through hoops for that part. So there was all this stuff. But the nice thing is, she and I and Blaze and her husband were all like, it's all right. Yeah. We're going to get through this. And there were a couple of times there were a couple of different things. We didn't even sign a post-occupancy agreement, and she stayed like 4 days later. Yeah. We did it.
You guys were great with that.
She just needs to do it, right? She needs that extra 4 days, because she's trying now. Suddenly she's not just moving to France, which she can't do because she hasn't found a house, because she couldn't get there, and her husband's not here. So she had to find an apartment at the last minute and move in. And so we're like, it's okay. That whole relationship is even more important now than it was before, because you do have to all agree and you do have to get along, and that does help, you know. So I
Yeah.
think it's important. I'm so sorry. I've lost
I just want to comment on that because you guys were so great with that, both on your sale and I'm hearing on your purchase, just to be accommodating to the other person on the other side. Because I think there's this misconception that real estate is this cutthroat business, and we are all human, and we all just want. I think we should all just want what's best for our clients. And when
right.
you have great people that you're working with, like you and Blaze, um, it's just really refreshing to have that kind of flexibility and humanity.
Yeah, and I think it's important, but thank you. Thank you. I do think it's important that we remember that we remember that it's somebody else on the other end, and they've got a lot tied up. And it helped, I think, on the selling end for me, because she's been in the house 24 years. I've been in this one 16 years. We brought our babies home to these houses, and we both understood that it was more than a real estate transaction. She's leaving a home she absolutely loves. We could understand that it's more than a real estate and a transaction. It's very personal. So,
Yeah, always. It's always personal. It's absolutely always begins by being personal.
yeah, exactly. So tell me, what changes are permanent? What do you think is going to go forward when we leave here?
I don't see how the technology enhancements that we're going to be using will ever go away. So if agents start using Matterport as kind of the new norm, I don't see how you take that away later, because sellers are still going to want the best for their property. Um, so the technology is not going to change. I hope that the industry will adapt a little more and have more remote closings possible, because with just the digital world, I think that's one of the last things. It's the lending, and I'm not trying to say anything about the lending institutions, but I understand why that still has to be live. But I think more and more we're going to move towards the potential of an all digital transaction
Right.
when it comes to closings. People still need to get into houses to see them, but I think those virtual enhancements, and I'm lucky, I work with Berkshire Hathaway. They've just rolled out a new virtual platform for all listings, and it's pretty exciting. We're just learning all the details of it now, but they've realized that this situation is the impetus to get us to the next level. And I think that's what a lot of people will realize within the industry. We are here because of this pandemic, but we should have been here before. And
Right.
so now that we're forced to be here, we're going to stay at this level and move even further into digital enhancements and making things easier for people to act. We have buyers coming from across the globe sometimes. And as you said, your sellers moving to France. We need to make that easier for people to conduct business electronically.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that occurs to me is, they send the documents, and I think that's great when you're beforehand, right? Yeah, we did a lot online.
Yeah.
Settlement was in person, but a lot of it was online. But it does occur to me, you could do a settlement online on a Zoom call and have the sign at the same time. So you're actually seeing the person. It's the person who's signing it. It happens that way. And I bet that that's something that comes forward, so that you're not worried about the fraud quite as much, because you actually have a person sitting there in front of you.
Right.
So you think, are there any other changes you think will be permanent, or you think we'll go back to touring houses the way we used to? Or
Yeah, I honestly hope that we do go back to open houses. I might be one of the last ones, but I love open houses. I think it gives that person that's on the fence and doesn't want to really, people are nervous. They make steps by little milestones, right? So if you're thinking about buying a house, you might go to open houses first.
right.
You don't want anybody to represent. You just want to, kind of see what's out there. And I think that's helpful for a lot of people. So I do hope we go back to that. Being able to allow more than one person in a house at a time, I think would be fantastic.
Right.
I just think really moving everything towards digital and really stepped up listing presentations are going to be the two things that I can say right now that have to be permanent, because that's value. I don't see how you dial that back.
I want to go back to, we were talking about the listings, but one of the things that just occurred to me is that I bet that your curb appeal is even more important now than ever, because
Absolutely.
people are driving by it first and they may just go, not that one, whereas if you get the chance to go, okay, I hate the outside, but it's an open house, I can see it, right? You walk in and you see it. And I think that's, because the house we're moving into, they're not gardeners. They haven't spent a lot of time in the yard, and Blaze spends a lot of time in our yard. So I may have just passed it by,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's everything's going to be more important. It really, you can't just put a house in MLS. You can't just take it next to your shot and say, "Hey, we're for sale. Let's come buy it." You're not going to get the droves of people coming through.
Yeah.
You really do have to work a little harder, I think, to get the buyers to come out.
Well, and I bet for sale by owner is right out right now, right?
I think it would be difficult. I can't imagine how that works because then they're dealing with every person that comes in. Right now, a seller could have a listing agent and they could be gone for the rest of it. So they don't have to actually have contact. As for sale by owner, you're contacting everybody that's wants to see your house, sell your house. So I'm not sure how,
Yeah. I mean, unless you are super tech savvy and can, but I mean, you would have to be, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine doing that. So, all right. Advice for people who are moving right now.
I'd say stay the course and just be ready to hit the ground running. So our company has brought in some great economists to talk about what it will look like moving forward. And everyone's predicting it's going to be more like a V recovery. So this is not a housing crisis. We're not where we were in 2008 by any means, where it was kind of a U. People hung out at that bottom, low level of low housing prices and took a while to really recover. Now we're just going to, everyone's predicting it's going to catapult from this low end. So it's going to be really important, I think, moving forward for buyers to be poised to be ready to act. So if they can be in contact with their lenders now and create a strategy, I think best case scenario is always if you're able to sell first and then buy. And more people can do this than they think. They just have to talk with their lender to figure out a good strategy for that. But things are going to bounce back. They're going to come back and they're going to come back with a fury. When, I don't know. That's the big problem. Everyone wants to know. We just don't know for sure. But it's going to rebound very quickly. So both sellers and buyers have to be ready to hit that ground running to make sure. I mean, at this point, we have 2 months of inventory. And I've talked to our BNI group about inventory and months of inventory, what that means. That basically means if all the houses that are on the market now would take 2 months to sell if no new houses came up, that's extremely low inventory. I've talked about that before, but last year was 3.9. Now it's 2 months of inventory. So definitely a seller's market at this point. I mean, buyers are going to be in competition, absolutely, every time. So you really have to be ready to hit that ground running.
Yeah, we had that. I think, one of the houses we looked at, we talked about it. I didn't even see it. Blaze is like, I've got to make an offer. I got to make it now. And there were 12 offers on the one house. And it ended up going for $250,000 above the asking price. We were like, oh, we're done. That's crazy.
That's insane. And you guys are doing pre-inspections and things like that. So that's something that hasn't trickled into the Maryland market, thank goodness, or this area's market.
Yeah.
That's insane. I don't necessarily see that. I just know that the buyers and sellers that are ready to go, the buyers that have pre-qualification letters in hand are going to be the ones that win when the market does bounce back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on. This is, it's such a crazy time. And, one of the things that I would like to say to people who are watching their friends buy or sell a home is to not judge, because the number of people who have said to me, why are you doing that? Why are you moving in the middle of this? And the answer is, I sold my house in February. So luckily our buyers have been nice enough to rent back to us for a month, a little over a month, but we have to move. Nobody's choosing to move in the middle of a pandemic. We have to move. And I think that, that's a good thing to remember is, again, people are human. They're not doing it just for the fun of it. They have to move. So. Anyway, do you have any advice before I say goodbye and tell you what we're doing tomorrow?
Advice, again, just stay the course, find something fun. One of these things that I've done, my son introduced me to this app. It's called Geoguessr. Geogussr, and it's based on Google Maps. It basically plops you in the middle of somewhere and you have to figure out where you are. It's been so fun.
I'm going to write it down. Spell it again. So it's
Geoguessr, Guessr. It's hilarious. When you first start, it's not very much fun because you'll literally be on a dirt road anywhere, and you have to keep going to see a sign or something. But then if you earn enough, if you earn enough points, I've had some time, you can do famous places. And so it's cool. I was on this one dirt road and I did a 360 and went, oh, a pyramid. So then you have to remember where that is in Egypt. And so it's been
really fun,
a little educational, a little bit of an obsession right now because it's something to do in this time. And it's not Tiger King. So
I'm going to tell you a story about, because you talked about the Geoguessr and being on a dirt road. I have a story, and I don't think I've ever told you this story. So, gosh, I bet 7 years ago, Blaze found an opportunity in Alaska. So they brought us up there. We were looking at houses, and he was interviewing while I was looking at houses. So I called this one guy, and he said, this realtor, and he said, meet me at, and I'm in Alaska. Okay. So he says, meet me at this like park and ride, and then you can follow me to this house. And I said, okay. So we're driving down the highway. I'm following him, and suddenly he pulls off the highway onto a dirt road. And it's a highway onto a dirt road. And I was like, and then as I'm doing it, I call Ethan, and Ethan is in class at the high school. And we talk, when we do our walks, we talk about serial murderers and what you do and how you don't go down dirt roads. And I'm calling Ethan, and I'm like, I just want to let you know, I'm following this realtor down a dirt road, and just in case something happens, his tag number is, and it cut out.
Poor Ethan. Ethan's sitting in the table going, oh.
And meanwhile, I am, still following the guy, and we pull out into this beautiful neighborhood. But
actually, I'm sorry so my first date with my husband ended in a very similar way, because we went to a baseball game. It was wonderful, very populated, right? We leave the baseball game, go down 295, and he goes, do you want to see where I live? I say, sure. He pulls off onto this road. It's very nice. And all of a sudden, he veers off onto this dirt road. It's pitch black. It whines. And I say to myself, this is the night I die. This is the night I die.
He seemed really nice, but he's probably a serial
murderer. We get to this beautiful clearing, and his mother's house is in the middle of this clearing that was next to a horse farm, and it's lovely. During the daytime, lovely. Now it's a housing development. But yeah, I can relate to that. But I think the realtor should have warned you, Anne. You want to go into a rural space, and don't be alarmed. I think he tell you that today. What year was that?
Well, it was only about 7 years ago.
Oh.
Well, it was only about 7, but I think, you know what? It's Alaska. He wasn't thinking, because every other house that we would go to after that, we're like, oh, okay, yep, you have to go down this dirt road, and you're going to find, and they're like, watch out for the bear. And,
Plus, he's not a mom. A mom would have told you that. I think we get back to that.
Exactly. So, all right. So I usually say up tomorrow we have, right? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I am going to really be moving into my house. I have no internet. I don't know whether I will be able to do a live, but if I do, it's going to be a very personal live, and I'm going to give you guys what you were talking about. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of my new house and show you some of the things that are really neat and some of the things, but there's a couple of really weird things about the house that I will hold off on telling you about until I can show you, because they're going to be fun. So that's tomorrow. Jennifer, how do people get in touch with you?
The best way right now is my Facebook page, Jennifer Yeatts, Realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Penfed Realty. So if you just honestly Google Jennifer Yeatts, Realtor, it should come up almost first.
Absolutely, it will come up first. I have tried it on a bunch of different places, and it's come up first every time. So I cannot say enough. I know, not to embarrass you, but I cannot say enough about the experience of working with Jennifer. I have a lot of real estate friends. I have a lot of lots of people I know in real estate. I needed hand-holding, because I wouldn't say I'm high maintenance, but things stress me out easily because I've got this much stuff going on over here, right? I've got all this stuff happening, and I needed somebody who could say, okay, it's all right. And you've got that calm demeanor, and I picked you really that way because it was very personal. I knew you know a lot, and you'd get along with Blaze because you're all about the numbers and he's all about the numbers, and that would be great. But it was a great experience for both of us. We have recommended you to everybody we know.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure working with you. So much fun. So it's great to get to know you on a different level. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's been great. All right, everybody. I will see you either tomorrow or I'll see you Monday. And I can't for the life of me remember who's coming on Monday, but I will put that up on Facebook. So please stay tuned. I think we are booked out until the 15th of May. And after that, I think we will go to once a week because doing it every day is a little much. It's a lot of fun, but it's a little much. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Good luck with your move.
Thanks. Hold on one second, Jennifer. I'm going to keep you right there.